Good morning. My name is Kim. I have a small YouTube channel on my doll collections that only people my age, the baby boomer generation, would possibly be interested in. And I'm sure there's a lot of you like me that have collected many things over your lifetime that you would like to show on YouTube. And it's so easy. With the smartphone, um, all you need is the YouTube Studio app, and you can just upload your videos. Yeah, it is hard to talk in front of a camera, especially for me, because I did have a stroke. So every once in a while, I will either stumble over my words or the wrong word will come out. But that, I'm not going to let that prevent me from doing what I love to do, and that's show my dolls. Why? And why am I doing this? I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because nobody in my family cares. And I think a lot of you are in the same boat. You have treasured items that people call stuff or your junk. And yet you have difficulty parting with it because it means something to you. But those things you share that you have, you can share with us here on YouTube. And I wish people would. Someone just told me she had 70 Shirley Temple dolls from the 1950s. So I was thinking, wow, they must be dressed in, maybe costumes from the movies. She could show us, talk about the movie while she's talking about the doll's costume or what the doll's wearing, the fashions of the 1950s. There's just so many things that this is your opportunity right here on YouTube to share things that you love and care about with people who do care. Also, you have so many skills and talents and knowledge that you can share with people who care. I was, forced into a career very early in my life. I never learned home skills. I don't know how to sew. I don't know how to knit. I don't cook. These are things that I would love someone to just teach me, maybe simple hand sewing. I'm not going to go out and buy a sewing machine, at this age, but I would love to maybe, make something handmade, but I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know how to operate a sewing machine even if I had one. So, the possibilities are endless as far, you may have had an occupation that you're very knowledgeable on a certain subject matter. You might have had an very unusual occupation, stories to tell, things that happened, unusual things that happen on your job. There's so many things that you can do here on YouTube. And the baby boomer audience is growing because a lot of us can't afford broadcast TV anymore. So, with a smart TV, I pay a YouTube subscription, and I watch basically YouTube at night. I can get the news, the weather, and everything I need on YouTube. Maybe you like books. You could, give us the summary of the book, even tell us the ending, because a lot of us don't have time or the eye power to sit and read a book. I can only read books in the summer. And I do love biographies, especially of the rock stars of our generation. So, I can sit down and tell you about Bono's book called Surrender. It was very good. But, I would like to hear about other books, classics that I missed out on. For an example, I've never read Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. So maybe you could just tell us that story. And then you just say, spoiler, I'm going to tell you the ending. That's all, if we intend to read it. But it's been 30 years now and I still haven't read it. Maybe remember in the radio days, the radios would give away prizes. Maybe you won a prize and got something special. Telling stories about the way things were back then, before the internet. Unusual occupations. During Thanksgiving, while I was cutting up something, I remember the knife sharpener man who would come around, jangling his knives. And I think for 50 cents, he would sharpen your knives. Interesting occupation. I do have some things here because I'm a very visual person. All right, does anybody remember this or know what this is? I'm sure you boomers do. Actually, this was my grandmother's, and it's an egg slicer. This looks like it's made from aluminum. You put your hard-boiled egg right on top of here, and this is steel wire that slices it so easily to make sliced eggs. Because that's what we grew up on, right? Sliced egg sandwiches. Vintage toys. I don't really have toys, but people do collect vintage toys. This is, Radio Shack's Roby, a robot bank. He doesn't work. I tried to put a battery in him. But I think he was from the late 1980s. That's just an example. VHS tapes are coming back into favor now and in demand. This is the only one I could find. The Doors, because I love the Doors music, and Val Kilmer, the star. Celebrities, celebrity collectibles. I've seen a lot of women, or I shouldn't say women, people display just celebrity dolls. So maybe you have memorabilia of certain celebrities from our era. Because, I remember when Elizabeth Taylor died, nobody made a big deal about it. And I said to someone, oh my God, I can't believe Liz Taylor died. Because to me, she was still relatively young when she died. And they're like, who cares about her? She's an old has-been. I'm like, well, not really. I mean, she was a huge star in the 50s and 60s. And then she was the first celebrity to really fight for AIDS back then. AIDS awareness. And she turned her life around while in her 60s. She really did. So that, that's an example of only we would understand who you're talking about. Maybe you collect music boxes. I love them, but I don't have too many. Oh, it's not working. I don't know if you can hear that. Lara's theme. Very typical. But maybe you have one that has an unusual tune to it. American-made pottery. I actually went to Tennessee, Pigeon Forge Pottery. I actually went down there for a doll-related thing, but I've always had a thing for pottery. Now, I don't have a huge collection or anything, but I stopped in and we did buy some pottery pieces, and I still have them today, and it's very pretty. And I keep... Oh, this one has my seashore rocks in it. Another container I have... Oh, the music box has the keys to my car in it. Glass. Colored glass. These little bottles, whiskey bottles, they're glass. They were in glass. Now they're coming in all plastic. So, maybe you have a collection of something glass related. people like that. And speaking of alcohol, here's a rare Billy beer can. It was open, so I think I paid $1 for this at a flea market, maybe 30 years ago, because I collected the bicentennial things in 1976. You know, that was a huge deal. The 1976 was a huge deal up here in the Northeast. I don't know about the rest of the country, but there was a lot of collectibles related to that. The Americana look, which I liked. So, you know, 2026 is just around the corner, the 250th anniversary. So I'm hoping that they make the same deal. You know, we had parades and, New Jersey, that's where I lived at the time and I grew up there. We're the crossroads of the revolution. We actually were allowed to display license plates on our cars for just a year and a half. That said, you know, 76. I have it somewhere. I should have brought it out. Okay, sports collectibles. Very, very big. A lot of you guys, I'm sure, have sports collectibles. I just have a few Dale Earnhardt things because I was like a huge Earnhardt fan. I lived in his black t-shirts. I was a nurse, then a nursing instructor. And so I had to wear, you know, a uniform all week. And on my days off, I just lived in my Dale Earnhardt t-shirts, much to the dismay of my family, because they were always critical of things I did. You know, I always drove hot rod type cars, and yeah, if you got really vintage car collections, I would love to see that. What else? Presidential collectibles. So people, you know, collect presidential things. This happens to be LBJ, which I probably picked up to put with, I do have a ladybird doll. So I probably picked this up thinking, oh, he would look good next to her. I never was able to do it. Liquor decanters. And it's American ceramics in general. They're not, you know, nothing is made in the USA anymore. So this is Tun Tavern. It's the 200th anniversary of the U.S. Marine Corps. It's straight bourbon whiskey, and this is the cork. So people, I would love to see a liquor, because I remember people would collect these really big objects, the liquor decanters. Okay, this is just a cat mug, but cats. I remember cat shows when I was little, and I remember seeing all the different breeds. Maybe you're a cat person, you know about the Maine Coon cats and the Siberians and the Persians. I don't know, but I just remember they were really beautiful, unusual looking cats. So maybe you can do a video on something like that. Vintage leather goods, you know. I don't think this is leather, but this is a pocketbook my daughter gave me called Fossils. She said it's a designer brand. What do I know? But if you have vintage, you know, clothing, maybe you have a pocketbook collection, shoe collection, jewelry collection. Jewelry's big right now, especially the costume jewelry. Okay, maybe you are very proud of the state you live in. I just picked this up. Well, there's a story behind this, and I guess I should tell you because this drives home the point that your kids, your friends don't care about your collectibles. They really don't. They think that's old-fashioned stuff, and unfortunately, when we pass away, you think they're going to take the time to sell them? No. They're going to either donate the stuff or throw it in the garbage. So I walked into an antique shop looking for a gift for my mother. She turned 95. And I only had $20 to spend. And I walk into this antique shop, and the man was 84 years old and grouchy, and all his stuff was, if there was anything I was just remotely interested in, he wanted like $200. And I looked at him, I'm like, no, I'm sorry. So finally, he said to me, what, you're like a $10 or $20 person? You're looking for something like that? And I said, well, yeah, that's all I can afford. I just thought I could find some little knick-knack, something my mother would like. And so I picked this up. It's the New Jersey 300th anniversary of it was put out by a bank. Those are the Patterson Falls. And it is historical. It goes back to Alexander Hamilton and his founding of the city, Paterson, New Jersey. And that's where my mother was born and raised. Well, in Passaic. So he said $20. So I gave it to him, knowing this thing is not worth more than $2 to maybe $5 if it's worth anything at all. But I do remember people collected state plates. And I do have a nice old New Jersey plate somewhere. So things like that. If you're from, Nebraska, Wyoming, Arizona, California, wherever, you can display, vintage objects that were made about your state. And you can tell the history of it. So that's just an example. So I highly encourage people it's not hard at all. Okay, you don't have to be self-conscious because nobody is going to watch the video. And it's very simple. I literally have my iPhone propped up against a bookcase, and that's all I'm using. I don't have a camera stand. I don't even know how to edit a film. Like if I make a mistake in the middle of the film, I don't know how to take out that splice. So that's why I always have to say, excuse me, I'm sorry if I stumble over my words. I'm not a professional actress, and I'm not trying to be. I'm just... Okay, so back to the collections. Now, we all collected something for a reason, whether it was to invest in future profits, thinking, oh, let me buy this. It might become more valuable in time. Some of us collected objects just because we loved them. And in my case, it was dolls. I collected dolls for over 40 years. And that's why I have to stay away from certain, thrift and antique shops, because I'll end up buying more dolls and I'll keep them. I don't sell. I used to sell on eBay like in the early days, in the early 2000s. But my dolls, I'm the collector that has the emotional attachment to the things I've collected. Now, some people collect because it might be borderline hoarding, because I might need it someday, those type of collectors. But still, you must have some valuable information behind, those things that you collected. There's got to be a reason why you collected them. And only we boomers, person to person, will understand that and enjoy watching it. People collect, and if you're like me and you kind of had to keep your collection hidden away from people if they come into your house, I know exactly what you're going through. Like I said, I've been collecting dolls for 40 years. I'm pushing 70. So I remember when I first started collecting, I collected the Madame Alexander dolls that came in the blue boxes. So I had them, hidden mostly while I was dating. But on top of one bookcase, I had probably at least 20. Remember the wall units? I'm so upset I don't have my wall unit anymore. So yeah, it was the length of a wall unit, which was like a whole wall full of boxes. And this man I was dating looked up and said, "Are those shoe boxes?" Like he thought I was collecting shoes or something. And I said, "No, they're doll boxes." And he went, "Oh." I never saw him again. So, some people are judgmental because they don't understand, unless they're a collector themselves. So, yeah, if you're like me, you've probably, during I raised a boy late in life, so I had to keep the dolls, not displayed as the way I wanted to. They were all packed up and in the attic. And it was a walk-up attic, so they were very well preserved up there. It was warmer in the attic in the winter than it was downstairs. But now that I'm on my own and I'm living the way I want, I've got my dolls all over the place. I also, tinker with them. I have a lot of them need to be restrung. So they're out and about. And I really, when you get to this age, you don't care what people think anymore. And that's the way it should be. I don't care. If you want to come to my house, fine. I have one sister that I can't invite over because she's terrified of dolls. And, so I keep telling her now, she just said, I've never seen your apartment. Why? And I said, well, Allie, I've got dolls like all over the place that'll just creep you out. I know they will. Because she was creeped out by my good dolls back in the 80s and 90s. So my collection has only increased since then. So, yes, I totally encourage you. It's so easy to use the YouTube studio to upload your videos. And statistics are showing, YouTube is admitting that baby boomers are watching YouTube more than anybody else. Why? Because we're retired. And in the winter, there's not much to do. This is how it's like a natural antidepressant. I noticed that's why I started making doll videos again after like a year and a half of not making them, is because I was starting to get depressed. And so I said, I just need to bring out my dolls and I just need to show them again on YouTube. Because there's nobody around here to show them to. Who cares? So, yeah, I understand. And you don't have to be embarrassed of what you collect. No matter what it is, somebody's gonna be interested in it. And you can tell a story about it. Yeah, some of my videos are total flops because I just say, this is this country, this is that country. And yeah, I know it's boring. But I try to throw in geography. I'm hoping that I teach people geography. But I'm realizing the young people who know nothing about geography, it's scary. My son is 28. And he says that people his age don't even know the difference between Japan and China. It's like they're just not learning the basics anymore. So that's, why I throw in, well, this country is here, and hoping that I was giving a geography lesson or a political lesson. I'm also a big history buff. So if you've read a historical novel and you want to talk about it, that'd be great. If you collect historical items, there's anything, absolutely anything that you collect, you can share on YouTube. And believe me, only the people here will care about it. And that's how our channels can grow. We subscribe to one another, and you could get enough views. You can make that one big video that would get a lot of views, but it's not something you can depend on, for income. I certainly don't expect any income from this. I'm doing this. Actually, I thought I would be doing it to let my children know what dolls I have, what they're about, what years they're from, thinking that in case I drop dead tomorrow, that they would, oh, okay, I can sell this on eBay. Or no, like I said in the very beginning, they're just going to throw these things in the garbage or give them to the Goodwill. So thanks for tuning in. I hope I've inspired you. It's really easy to make a video. And don't be self-conscious. Don't worry. Just do it. So thanks, and I wish you the best of luck, because I really want to see your collections. Bye.